How are you? I'll be in order. 7 o'clock. If you have to sign in on the sign-up sheet over here. Here's your email. We're still getting nowhere on the email on that. So we email. And if you don't, why you you can encourage to get their email contact to it, down the phone office. And we'll get it. We'll get the email. We need to email everybody. Right. We're done. We go along. Here.
Here.
Yes. Ready? All here. And I'm here. Readings. Johnny, why don't you just kind of go through the we don't have a big crowd back of the rules of the rules of the meeting crowd.
I think Smiley said a third that the station to do the you have other back here agenda or you want to
Oh, yeah. Well, do you have anything right? Okay, have the agenda. Need the agenda.
so so as we begin the 12/11/2025 Board of Directors monthly meeting, the BOD requests everyone demonstrate respectful behavior and respectful communications. The purpose of the LCA Board of Directors monthly meeting is to conduct LCA business. During the Board of Directors monthly meeting, we ask all attendees in the Longhouse and watching remotely hold your comments, questions, or feedback until the open forum portion of the agenda. We start each monthly board meeting as follows: by the call to order, roll call, and then review the minutes, corrections if necessary. We continue with the officers' reports, presidents, vice presidents, treasurers, secretaries, committees, and working group reports. We go with unfinished business, new business. Finally, open forum is the opportunity for members to speak to the BOD president as follows. The member raises her hand, requests recognition from the chair, which is Richard, and after receiving recognition from the president, step to the microphone. If attending inside the Longhouse, of course, please stand and approach the microphone, and with a respectful tone, and without interruption from others in attendance, direct your comments or feedback, ideas, criticisms, observations to the chair. After speaking, recognition to speak, every member receives 3 minutes to speak directly to the president. If any individual interrupts the meeting by not observing the rules, the board will offer a courteous reminder to be respectful of the process and the other attendees. If any individual's disruptive behavior persists after a reminder to share, respect, and conduct themselves appropriately, they will be asked to leave the meeting. If and when the individual refuses to leave the meeting after receiving the request to leave, this individual forfeits their rights to attend board meetings in the Longhouse for the remainder of the calendar year. So thankfully, we haven't had to do that. Most people, I think, understand by now that we want to get things accomplished, and we welcome everybody's comments and participation at the appropriate time. Thank you.
The minutes from November 13th were quite lengthy, but they've been distributed electronically. Rod gave quite a feedback on, but someone just needed to accept it on 7 minutes from November 13th as they were presented, as it was sent out. Okay, so just go down.
Motion to accept.
Accept.
That's fine.
Abstain.
All right, so the motion passes.
Okay. President's report this past month, we had a busy month with the successful nomination process, and how many people for the 2026 board coming out, and that really names tonight, so that went well, and got through that. And like I said, we'll discuss that today. The management committee will tell you, explain exactly how we went about it, receiving the ballots, the nomination forms, and who is be nominated for elections for 2026. We've had we had to change the past month. We changed out all the systems in the Longhouse UV water purification system, and Michael and I, and we fired the system 6 months ago, and typically 6 months is when you want to change the filters, and then the UV still good for those 6 months, but so we've gone a 4-month cycle on those. Michael knows if we've got it on well back, and so if we change the filters, $150 in 4 months. We have to do it purely because we only got 2,400 gallon tank out there. It's pretty intense. We have a lot of toilets last year, right? So it's not really the volume, it's maybe because of the tank is just not that big, so the focus gets really dirty. Anyway, Michael's on it, and looking to do that going forward. Mark Corning and I discussed the lighting in the pavilion. Pickleball was complaining because the lights on this end, you couldn't play pickleball or I think one of the lights were going out. One didn't work on one. So anyway, we've been kind of hoping to get grant money for the last 6 months, off to do some work on the pavilion. Mark and I just made a call. Let's replace the lighting on the compound on online, and we ordered the high-bay lights, and Mark and I just replaced all 12 lights in there with the really high intensity high-bay lights. So anyway, it was $500 for the lights, $400 for the 16-foot scaffold rental, which we had to rent twice. We replaced it because we weren't really sure we had a light coming in. Once we got those up, it was going on. Other lights in. So anyway, so we had 2 rented for the scaffold. So $400, so $900 for the lighting of the building. But now even Greg Armstrong said that the bingo night Tuesday night, they could see the bingo cards. It made a huge difference out there, and it's LEDs, so it's not like talking the same number. So that worked out. We've been talking with David Watch about the storage room here, refrigerators, freezers. At some point, the plan in the neighborhood watch, the grant money, they've got $1,500 for another additional storage shed out there, and we have to wait to see if we do that. But anyway, in the meantime, I got a device to measure the electrical usage on the refrigerator freezers, because for the most part, refrigerators are just cooling bottles of water and stoves all month for their big one. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but anyway, so I did tests on all 3 devices. It costs $100 a month on the freezer and all refrigerators. So in your house, it's like a $30, your electric bill just a refrigerator. But anyway, $100 a month. So after the 1 January, we're going to add in watch price check each month for $100 and let them pay part of the electric bill, which is for this building. The electric in this building, and that is split between this and the pavilion. So it's about 160 here, 150 there. At some point, we will build another shed out there, and we'll move the refrigerators out there. And that's what they use them, and that's what they use them for the barbecue and everything else. That would work great for everybody. And then it's obvious it's on its own meter base out there. So anyway, but in the meantime, we're gonna let the neighborhood watch know that we like it. They got money back in the past. So but hey, it's $100 a month. So anyway, that's where we're at on that. We canceled we finally got the camera section of our alarm system with alert alarm canceled, and met with them. They came to give all the hardware, all the cameras, and all the devices that were out there. And finally, so that was about $150 a month for that part of the bill. So we got that comes off, and we stay that now. We put our own camera systems in with the help of our computer guy back here. So in other words, this is just the repeater you get for the pavilion. So we don't have a camera for right now. So but we will. We can't use them now. We can't. The Wi-Fi reach up there. So just wait for that one device and back up. It was working great. I mean, I get alerted. I see it's locked at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, it's the system working well. Yeah, they're all solar, so they're doing kind of stuff. Going back to the office, so it's all turnover. We mentioned before about we need to get this building tinted. Nobody knows when it was tinted last year. It was tinted. I got three different companies did. We give us quotes on tinted this building and the tractor building over there. You just walk around and look at the curve of the bottom building, it's just covered with black from like ground all the way around the building. So they're even place up. I've got three bids on it, I'd like us to just make a call on it so we can move it forward on it. One bid was called Justice Communication, about $4,200 for both buildings. $4,200. The Bowman, you'll see them a lot. Bowman, theirs is about $4,200, $4,400. They're both the same. And then I asked Terminus. There's a $12,000. They're same job anyway, so we can get two bids. If you want to open it out till the end of June, and so we don't wait that long. Justice so they can do it by the end of February. So I'd like to just go forward and give Justice the contract and let's get it done. And that lets us know that we have to work for the same in February. $4,200. So can we agree to go ahead with it? Just right here in the board. Everybody, you're okay. All right, and I'll schedule that and get that. That's all I've got.
So,
Mine.
Vice President, legal updates, do we have any? As of
We have, we made combination of the status of
that the lawsuits were terminated,
the term again.
and right now there's sanctions being tracking, which lawyers are sanctioned at this point, and so there's sanctions.
Yes. I'm not 100% sure that upon your upon last visit, I think that is still to be determined. It's not a bad deal.
Okay. And then one other thing as far as my reporting, we were able to successfully submit the employee recovery grants to the county, and they looked over them and said we missed nothing. Everything looks awesome, and so we'll be at this point now. We're awaiting decisions on who gets the grants, which we've asked for a $500,000 grant for an alternate route to Comiskey Road. So crossing my fingers, and they said December we would be getting the decisions. So really feeling hopeful and looking forward to it for the community if it goes through. We would be yes, we should be getting answers. They could delay the answers, which they did the second phase of grant rounds. So yeah, hopefully.
And how would that route go?
It would open up Kahukai. So the county right now is working on Comiskey Road, and they're opening up a few hundred feet of Leilani to the Kapuka, which Kahukai Road goes from the Kapuka to connect to the connection of Lower Kahukai.
So you Kahukai all the way up to the
Yeah.
all you were being out there.
Yeah. So we have Ohana Construction, which is the Marshall's company, on board to do the work, and hopeful.
Right.
Yes.
Do they tell you about a deadline when they would decide on who's received grants? Is there something worked out?
They said that they would be giving the results in December, but they had kind of filling the results the previous round. So even though they said December, they should be giving everybody the results. We haven't gotten them yet, so I'm just checking my emails every day. Yeah. And then we have 18 months to finish the project. But in our situation, we're lucky because we actually have potential to start from Leilani Estates, even though Kohiki Road won't be done until 2027. So we will complete it to the Kapuka, and then they'll be getting Leilani Avenue and Kohiki Road connecting. So, yeah.
Right, bank account balances, Bank of Hawaii checking, $130,627.02. Savings is $30,653.57. HFSC checking, $4,567.69. Reserves, $57,386.14. Rec fund, $30,191.67. Interest earned 81 cents. Petty cash, 100. Total funds in the bank, $253,526.90. Expenses, total expenses are $15,579.27. Out of the ordinary expenses, Rich spoke a little bit about the lighting for the pavilion, security cameras, microphone, computer equipment for $1,467.93. We also got a load of Black Center for $755. Security metrics, $155. And that's an annual charge necessary for the use of credit card processing for QuickBooks and the website. Accounting, findings, and irregularities. Members have been coming in to make payments, but no invoices were generated for them in 2023 or 2024. No consistent reason why they were skipped. No notations in their member files. Invoices continue to be issued to prior owners, even after the properties have been sold, indicating new owners were not entered into the system. These gaps and inconsistencies directly result in lost or delayed association income. Additional notes, first round of block payments are going out this week. This has been a time-consuming process due to multiple issues found during review, including owner's invoice for incorrect amount, payments applied to the wrong invoices, payments applied to properties that have been sold prior to billing, and invoices not made for 2025 or payments received and applied to other property. Billing errors are widespread across the entire system. There has been no validation process when generating invoices, largely due to membership lists not being accurately updated for many years. The same issue appears in deposits. For example, I found the 2025 payments applied to a member who sold their property in 2023. Without check numbers or copies attached to the deposits list, I will need to order check images from the bank at $2.50 per item in order to properly identify and correct the errors. Entries. We had to engage Cardinal CPA firm to rectify the outstanding payroll taxes from 2020 through the second quarter of 2025, which were either filed incorrectly or not filed at all. Numerous IRS notices had been received during those years, but were simply placed in the file without being addressed. The cost for Carbonaro services is estimated at $2,700 to $3,000, and the association is looking at $15,000 to $20,000 in IRS like filing benefits.
What further to say about your?
They're back to 2022. On a more positive note, this is an email that Janice received. I won't read the whole thing, but the other side of it, the end of the email thread that was sent to her. By the way, thanks. This is the first time capitalized I have ever
had a reply to an email sent to the LCA office at their address. I guess it's moved again. So that's my.
Nice work.
Good job, excellent.
I noticed on the rec account, the 30,000. I know previously HFS had trouble moving the money around, so we're gonna have.
But we have to just get together and vote and close.
They're sitting on money that will go into this account.
We're going to take the money out of the HFS and move it into the VA for, we have a credit union in town.
What I'm saying is 30,000 seems low to me. As we did before, we had a dump at the end of the fiscal cycle. We're gonna have a dump money that.
I'm going to actually clear the budget.
I'm just saying there's money that should go into the rec fund that go into another account.
Probably $48,000 for that. So it's lower than the area, 48,000, you know. We play around with that.
I said there, right? You said allow lot payments. Can you talk about that a little more?
I can answer that question. Going through, it's that $100 one, that we agreed that we would reimburse it.
I didn't do that. I don't remember. How it works.
Yeah, $100.
Yeah, we have.
Pretty much.
So you realize you take the law of your arms. All the team is good. All right. John?
Thanks. Mary Ann left off with a mention of the resident writing again. I think that's where I'm going to begin. I take questions as they come from the website, and most of them I can refer to whoever needs to be addressing it. If it's financial, we were directed to. But once in a while, I get one like this. A woman that lives in the neighborhood wrote a letter, and she was very, very upset about the feral pig problem. And she had put up a fence to try and keep the pigs from wrecking her property, but pigs are pigs. They got around, tore it all up, and she was upset that it was her understanding that it was the Leilani State's obligation to eradicate all of the feral Leilani States. And I thought at first it was a joke, because I'm like, I couldn't possibly think how that HOA can afford to fix a Puna-wide problem, especially like when we're sitting on a basket of fruit here, And so I sent her a message, a kind, thoughtful message saying, I'm sorry you're having this trouble, et cetera, et cetera. I would recommend somebody to you, if you like, that would come out and trap the pigs. And she sent a quick reply back saying, this only shows what I suspected, that Leilani states the BOD doesn't care about the residents and their pig problems. And I was kind of taken aback. What do you do in a situation like that? I mean, it's such a huge problem, And so I was walking my dog today, and I thought about and talking with others about it too. And at no time did I disclose the person's name, but why not send them back a message and ask them to come to the board meeting and to propose a motion to the board on how this problem could be addressed? If they're not satisfied with just my thoughts on it, there's 6 more people at this table, and doesn't, so we're in the audience that perhaps might have a suggestion that would make her happy, but the idea is to plug the problem into the solution instead of just being like an upset member of the community over an issue like that or whatever, a problem neighbor. It's like that's an opportunity to get somebody plugged into how to fix the problem instead of having perfected how to be upset about the problem. So that's what I'm going to try to do in the future. If I don't feel like they've been satisfied, or even if they have, I'll say you can come at any time. You can submit a suggestion to the box about a motion for your particular problem. So I think that might be a good change to make it as my role, in that. So,
Is that a new resident?
no, she's lived here, they've lived here since 1987, from what I can tell.
She's.
And so,
The first big issue.
so we're talking about, the candidates forum. That was one of the issues that has been mentioned, and I think, most of us, or all of us would agree that it's a good idea to have a healthy candidates forum. And, we talked about a date that would work, and we came up with December 27th.
Saturday.
At 1 p.m. at the pavilion. And, what we'd like to do is, starting now, if anybody has questions they'd like to write to address the candidates when I announce that, there's a box over there in the corner. Anybody can put questions in there. You can submit questions to the office. Anywhere you can, electronically, whatever. You can send them to the website. But it would be great if we had a lot of questions generated so that process can go quickly. And we're not there for hours and hours, asking every candidate the same question, And also, I've been looking at different avenues of how to have a, what do they call it, a format for the forum itself, instead of, just a free for all with interruptions and, that type of thing. Have it organized by a person who's a mediator or like a parliamentarian type of person, and an individual with a little bit of background in trying, because these things come up quick this time of year. There's a lot on the table here. So I've been looking into that a bit. Oh yeah, also, I wanted to remind folks about the park cleanup out here on January 6th and 7th. I was going to approach the group that plays volleyball. It looks like there's 40 healthy people. Jump around for fun and see if how they feel about picking up palm fronds, and seeing that they use the park. And I'm not sure who they are. It doesn't matter to me.
And in charge.
But I'd like to extend an offer to them and show our appreciation for the amount of that you're going to get out of the park. They're very neat, very neat, and they're courteous to people. They're not, Yeah, so I was thinking that I would approach that to you and see if we could bring them to participate. I also want to thank the election committee for their work in processing and documenting the nominations process. It was very well organized, and I think everybody, when they hear the report from the election regarding that, will be very impressed. And I would personally choose to hold off on announcing the nominated parties until they give their report and explain what went into the process of selecting people, so there's a complete understanding of how many boxes were checked for so people have confidence in the process and so forth. So I think, I've covered everything that I want to speak on right now. So I'll pass.
Jensen, the little guy back there, he offered a ball player to some volleyball. And they were quite excited about it. And they found out they're stuff.
Yeah, I drew interior walls in.
Yeah.
So that,
They're a serious player.
yeah,
It's cool.
oh, I figured a woman would have a line in.
It's cool.
And recycle it, property.
Let's get the working groups. Oh, yeah, okay.
Source is a list of daily duties. I won't do it right now, but it's here if you want to see it. Since the last board meeting, monthly shoulder mow complete for this month due to the increased amount of dig diggings that damage the shoulders. There are some areas that I skipped and will have to finish cutting with the sidearm mower to avoid damaging the mower. sidearm. I finished Miley Street and Omaroa Street on the Tabukai side of the subdivision. I will continue the sidearm cutting Miley Street and Omaroa on the Lama side. I took care of Leilani Boulevard radius due to the county machinery being down, which is quite nice. I was able to get the two front tires on the sidearm replaced as well as the two rear tires on the lawnmower. Other topics, we received a little black cinder that will be used for certain areas in need around the park grounds. Please contact the association office if you have questions or concerns. Thank you for your time. Have a nice evening and happy holidays. Michael Halamia. He also has 8-foot fluorescent bulbs.
He put up the lights.
Yeah, and Michael, of course, put up the lights for us.
He put the lights up on himself and we had to clean the gutters while he was doing that because of the catchment issue. So, yeah, he's roughly.
I have a couple things to go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just, while you're on the subject of what Michael did, a couple of months ago, a member requested having something that shows the difference between the flat portion of the concrete right outside this doorway and the branched portion, so people don't hit that and don't misstep or fall. So he ordered those sticky bath abrasives that's what kind of reflective element to it. So he did that a couple months ago, and I just be flaking on remember to mention it, but that's he put up there. So
I just want to things and activities we're having in our pavilion this Saturday, 10 to 2. There's a Christmas market. Please come and enjoy that. I love where we live. Anyway, I have a wish list for 2026. Better rush cans. We talked about that. Update the signs. The sign closest to the garage here by the picnic table. It's failing. I don't know if that's something Michael will do or Rich that you are in charge of. But then I also went and read the other sign where you first come into the park and about scheduling events, and it says, go to admin, LeilaniCostates.org. So I tried emailing that, and it came up BL Stencil. So that needs to be corrected or changed or something too. So those two signs. And who opens for scheduled events for now? Mark and I have been. So then my request to his office staff contact, maybe text both of us. Mark's here almost all the time, and I'm having weekends. And to remind people scheduling to take their trash, of course. Unscheduled parties that happen, people bringing their household rubbish is been a bit of an issue. Oh, and also to include no alcohol or household rubbish on our signs.
You're open on Saturday one.
And yeah. What time, yeah? 7:30, 7 o'clock. I'll be here. Okay. And I have hats for volunteers. And that's kind of a party, and we're a voluntary board. It would have been helpful for me if I wore my hat today. I was to open for someone I didn't know who was, didn't have contact information with. So we have hats. So at least the person can identify me. I don't think we have a neighborhood watch representative. I was hoping Mark was here because there's we need some communication about the milestone situation. So you can talk to Mark.
We have any number.
Somebody offered, there's none of y'all, there's none of y'all. You saw them all? There's no one of y'all.
Yeah.
No, but it's been a routine thing. I don't know.
Okay.
And then lastly, besides the board party, is we put up a notice on the Village Bulletin Board reminding folks when there is a scheduled special event. I think would be nice over there specifically. LCA Board Party, January 6th through 7th, weather permitting, 8 to noon. 10 o'clock refreshments in the Longhouse. I challenge the board to help however they can. Office personnel, I think, is going to do refreshments at 10. John and Rich, I think, maybe doing the bathroom floor and Jan said she painted and I don't know, all kinds of things. Lana said she helped me, anyway. So that's what
Well, because we place the lights in the pavilion, so most of the lights are 8-foot tubes. We haven't moved for anymore, and Michael has a light shop here, replacing tubes, so if you know anybody that can use an 8-foot fluorescent tube, just let Michael know, I gotta get them out for you. Right, so, if you know anybody or you have a shop, if you go, I mean, or anywhere, 8-foot fluorescent tubes. That's what it is. That's.
Fixtures or tubes? Fixtures or tubes?
Tubes. Just tubes. No, we scrap the pictures all around. So is that, you done now?
I'm done. I'm finally done, sorry.
The, committee, working group report, architecture. We've been, just in the past month, Bob's on the committee, myself, but we're not, we haven't gotten. We've waited for the mail for a while. Anyway, we came to this past couple of weeks where people complain, come to us with complaints, and so yeah, we're going on. And I told them, what John turned me on to, where they're building up, like, sort of brand new wheels, and I just told them, of course, if you get that thing done, all that, the permit card, as you can't do it here. And so, anyways, that we're trying to work with it. And, so, we give a copy of CCNR, highlight everything, and, show right there, you got our primary resident for the already, that's where he got the car, where it works. So now, and give it to them, and then just let them know, like, yeah, you can't live here. So, be ready to tell it out of here. And, so, anyway, tag it all, the property of upper Malama that had all the cars pulled out. He's over. They did a great job getting that one. They cleared it a lot. There's still one that's all, some of these stories. I heard it was the same story. They can't do that. I'm very sure it was. There's nothing else about that. Michael push it 1 year. Anyway, she was civil. She was civil job. She was nice for me. And she said that they will get moved. I was going to play with her. We were just saying, give her, we all see cars because they are working on it. They're going to try to make it. She's pretty well, you need primary residence also, so we think it'll be ready to put up primary residence for these. Anyway, so we did, we had that one also. So that's for conjecture. CCNR, why nothing.
Jim is, not gonna be able to everything. He did submit to me a motions, some motions information, but read it last week. I don't think that we need
He's
to.
still waiting for reporting of the bylaw changes. Right? I mean, how she got.
I think,
This wasn't submitted, I think.
right.
So, okay, that's one change there, okay. Lots. Smiley and Jim Penny. It's nothing. It includes the reimbursement. Right. Okay. You went here.
Yeah, it's gonna be up.
People.
I guess I'll go ahead and read this info.
With regard to lots, it's really complex, so if I can take just a minute. There's a whole variety of issues, and everyone here should know from attending previously that a lot of lots decisions on what we're actually going to do out there is delayed until 2026, so we're deferred on the lot of lots. But associated with that is, do we put in roads? Do we pave the roads? Do we use gravel, cinder? Do we do nothing at all? And so Jim has created a little survey, which we're going to put in the election packet, and that's what Smiley has. But also kind of part of the same thing, and it's essentially accessibility. So it's beyond just a lot of lots. On what Smiley's working on the grant, it's an extension of Codified, so that we have two ways, one way in and a different way out if need be in the event of an emergency. The other alternative, which we discussed on the wildlife committee, is at the end of Leilani North over here, there's a lot, and just maybe 100 feet beyond the lot is a temporary road that was put in by PG&E, the utility company. And the truth is, people came in that way during the eruption. So the National Guard had to come, the state guard that we had, and stop that. So if there was really an eruption, people couldn't get out. I kind of suspected every one of us would get in the car and just go through that lot and get to the gravel road in any event. But the questions become, do we do something permanent, or do we do something temporary and have a gate for emergency use? So that's one of the discussions. The other is, what do we do with the lots? Do we provide access? We talked about on the lot committee about surveying everybody that has a lot, block by block. Do you want a road? What kind of road do you need access on, and so forth? And of course, we have, if you look at this map, all of these orange or yellow highlighted are county owned, more than 250 lots. So the county doesn't care. And in point of fact, on the deeds that have been executed when they've taken over properties, the agreement is, it's federal government mandate, they can never be built on. So they don't need access to a lot, or anybody wants access to a lot, they can't do anything with to begin with. So we don't have all of those, but it's a complicated issue. And so it nets to a little survey that's been recommended that we're going to put in the election packet.
And one thing regarding the subject of the county HUD buyout lots is true. They're never allowed to be built on as far as a residential home. The county right now is still needing to create a management plan for the county buyout program. And they're considering creating a group or a new, what do you call it? Like possibly it could be tapped into Oscar, which is their sustainability division. That is a new group in the county. So yeah, there's HUD approved allowances of county buyout properties. For example, a neighboring property could potentially lease it for agricultural use. There could be public parks allowed. So there are uses that could be allowable for the community, but we still don't have any specifics regarding utilizing them for easements to cut to another property. And as far as our bylaws, we don't really have anything already in our bylaws dealing with this disaster. So, which is why we want to reach out with a survey, and I'll give you guys the info. So please read and respond by sending this in or filling out the survey at Leilani Association at gmail.com. Approximately a quarter of the lots within our community were impacted by the 2018 eruption. Most of those lots were completely buried, and the roads used to access these lots were destroyed. The founding purpose of our corporation is to provide and maintain roads for all of our members. However, the cost of building new roads is very high. We have approximately 5.5 miles of roads to replace. Option 1, paved roads. Recent estimates are that it will take approximately $1 million per 3/4 mile of road to repave the covered roads. We will need to raise approximately $7.5 million to fully replace our roads if they are to be paved. This works out to be about $3,750 per lot. If we raise everyone's, all Leilani's owners, assessment by $500 a year, it will take us 8 years to complete this project. In all probability, it will take longer as costs continue to rise. Option 2, cinder roads. GOBO has a bid to replace 6 miles of cinder roads for $960,000, including surveying and permit costs.
This works out to be about $500 per lot. We can either raise this money internally with a special assessment and pay no interest, or secure bank financing for this project and pay this off over several years. We could get this project done in the next year or two. Option 3, do nothing. In this case, we will need to rewrite our bylaws on assessment so that our members with reduced services are treated fairly. We also face a higher risk of squatters moving into the lava field with the accompanying drug and sanitation problems other lava communities have experienced. This survey is not a binding vote and will be used to provide direction to the 2026 board and to set 2026 assessments. Question, which of the following, and so on the survey, the question, which of the following road options do you favor for our lava covered roads? I support rebuilding paved roads, assessment amounts to be determined. I support rebuilding cinder roads, assessment amount to be determined. Or I support nothing, doing nothing and not rebuilding our roads, no assessment charge. So as far as the do's,
Yeah, so that's on top of the dues, special assessments are option 1 would cost every one of us, in addition to the dues, at least on the projections, an additional $500 a year for the next 8 years. And with costs rising, maybe that could go up. Option 2 is one-time charge, $500, and we could discuss maybe stretching that out at $100 over 5 years or whatever, but to pay for that ourselves. And then option 3 is don't do anything at the risk of that. There's 2 or 3 issues here. One of the issues is if we don't do anything, as is pointed out, then anybody, the county will provide anybody that goes in that happens to acquire a lava covered lot, they'll give them a permit to build. That kind of takes it out of the control of our election, or architectural committee. It's just out there and the community voted to do nothing. Second issue, John, just for a second, is we're talking to everybody. So this is you, who may not have lava on your lot, has to pay that $500. But also part of the issue is the county would have to pay the $500 on option 1 on each of those lots also for the next 8 years. That's big time money, to say the least. So the options here aren't very good. As is indicated, this isn't a binding thing. It's just to get a flavor of what do you guys want? What do we want? We want to think about paving the roads to lava covered lots. We want to just put cinder out there, or we want to do nothing. It's essentially the 3 choices.
I thought I heard a contradiction, but then I figured it out. You said that county bought lots, they might never be built on. Other lots can apply.
Yeah.
But yeah, this, if you look at this closely, some of this like 12 in a row of county owned. Being where it's agricultural, would they approve like a hive community, like you could have like several lots of beehives, right? Something like that. That's, maybe that would work or something. I don't know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, that is allowed in the HUD usage.
Sorry.
Yeah, so even though we thought that we might get to some resolution because there was a discussion, let's just let them secede, form Leilani 3, which isn't doable. Our governing documents today say everything must be prorated, meaning people pay the same. Well, of course, they didn't. The decision was made in 2019 or 20 to just not bill those people at all. Then it got a little bit convoluted in the last couple of years. That's what we're having to deal with. So this is a very, very complex, never addressed and never anticipated issue, but we're still on. James.
So say gravel roads. They have to be maintained and redone. How is that factored into the cost?
Yes.
You want to constantly be having dues to maintain that? Or that could cover the people that live on the lava lots?
No, we're responsible for the roads.
Because that's just not a one-time assessment, it's going to be an ongoing assessment.
Agreed.
Theoretically.
To be considered, you're absolutely right. If we think about HPP, their gravel roads, they have to plow them over and resurface them and so on. So ongoing expense associated with that as an option.
And at the same time, it doesn't necessarily determine that once they're cindered in, that there might be some kind of funding to potentially begin little by little paving as it unfolds. Which would be great. And I believe Immaculate Kleinfelder has created a law or a resolution in regards to like Hawaiian Acres being able to fund private road infrastructure. So that's something I need to look a little bit more into it, but it's an excellent thing that he's done to try to help all of these associations with these private roads to get some kind of funding and county help. So
And it's true for all of the work groups / committees. We could use help. Anybody that has any input, feel free to join us. Yes, ma'am.
Also, there'd be a fifth option, which is, do you guys have an idea? Could the people that are receiving the survey submit an idea?
excellent. I think we'll definitely would be great to get as much input. Absolutely, like comments, any ideas would be good.
If you were to go for the full pavement or anything, wouldn't you have to do the gravel or cinder or anything first anyway? So why don't
Absolutely.
we settle for that for now?
That's, yeah.
And then,
Well,
I
let's
don't
see what the
understand.
community says, because I doubt that the community, we'll see what the survey says,
I doubt where we gotta start.
but that's where we're gonna have to start.
Yeah.
And
We'll go first, and then cinder, so at least.
like Ron was saying,
That's
with
gonna happen no matter what,
properties,
unless we decide not to do anything.
we can really prioritize
That's not an option.
the roads where the majority of
Yeah, the option is we gotta
properties
start.
where people do need to get home and want to rebuild. Well, that'll be continuing.
Oh, couple more questions, yes.
Just about the, paying the, getting the dues back, were you gonna mention that? Or is that part of our?
I can.
It's not bottom lot, so we can do it here.
Yeah, you said you could put that out there. We agreed before we reimbursed from last year. And we have started cutting checks and so they're gonna start going out, so.
So the community that were charged, are being reimbursed, that were the victims and the inundated properties.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, no, it's another.
Anybody that paid, we're returning
Some
some.
people billed $100, that goes on our books as a receivable initially, then they sold that to the county. Well, the county may or may not have paid, there's a transfer fee for anybody that acquires the property at 200, which we get. In some cases, we may have collected, in others, we didn't. Some people owed a lot more money that wasn't identified properly, you didn't get that, so that's why the accounting here has been just a horrific exercise. But
Any of that sold property is not getting moved.
yes,
Right.
I have no way to contact their owner. So it's already was still on that.
Your $30 and maybe $500 assessments, that's every lot, even a lot of covered lots.
everybody, 2,482 or whatever it is.
Then, under CCR, we have Exhibit B, you have the A with the charter, Exhibit B with the CCR, and Exhibit C with the bylaws. And specifically in that CCR, whether or not it's allowed or not, they're still held accountable to the CCRs for the corporation. Everyone.
Right.
So we do have control of what they build.
Yes.
Want to make sure that. I agree, the 2019 decision was invalid. I'm not sure how you're going to fix that issue. You're returning money to a lot of lots that have paid. I have paid on my lot of lots for 5 years on one and 2 years on the other. So I'm ready to send my request for reimbursement. I want to be included in that special class that you're creating. I have all the details. Rather than meet everybody, I just need a copy for the review. Make copy for the.
Yeah, I'm working on this once.
The overall contract in there, because there's no consistency from 2019 forward on who left bills on the level one. Some people did, a whole bunch of people in 22 did, 23, a whole bunch of people.
I can't agree to that. I paid in good faith, so I can be in every understanding, hear about others, community members not okay, and be in good faith. This is gonna be,
It's very, it's all arbitrary. There's no one needed, but why in charge, you determine that. It's the best.
correct, and I go back to 2019, 2024, we should hold them accountable for the mess they created. That's over $600,000 is community value because of the 21, 19. This is gonna be an issue, I promise you.
Stop the 2025.
No,
We are.
people challenge.
You challenge all you
You
want.
spend more time with the balance.
1 year and reimburse 1 year. Same.
That's arbitrary.
Same. Let's move on.
And the cost you're saying, that was included construction costs, so surveying included in there, seems like that'd be kind of significant.
We didn't do that. This is a report done by someone else, so.
Yes,
Is that gonna be pretty significant? Because-
actually, so it was the spokeswoman of Public Works that had given me the $1 million
So these are
estimate for 3/4 mile as far as
These were
paving.
construction costs.
And then these were actual legitimate companies that have been working with the Coho
Okay.
Farm Lots Vacation Land Homeowners Association. So they're extremely legitimate and it is with the surveying and the permitting.
That's included.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good, thank you, Billy. Oh,
Did you have a question, Pete, for the lot?
Yeah, I have my hands up.
Okay.
So my memory sucks, but I'll try and go back and say that when Koganiki gets finished, it was my understanding years ago that the county was going to bring in a road
One predator.
up to the Tuga Road, up to the end of Calapai down there. And then
Blood pressure, man.
the 5 houses on that rise. And we're gonna get a road so that those were gonna be, able to be accessed. Now, I don't know whether that's in any of what you've been talking about. It's what,
Yeah.
we already addressed it before.
So the-
I'm sorry.
Yes, the Kapuka, they will be opening up the portion of Leilani to Kapukai.
Thank you. I'm sorry to.
Yeah.
Would you include that elevator talking about, that's it, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the grant that we're working on will connect the Kapuka back to the subdivision.
You're gonna extend Lost Cow all the way down,
3,000 feet.
paved, or?
At this point, we were only allowed to go ask of up to 500,000. So we've asked for the whole amount and that covers material and grading, but not paving.
Thank you very much.
You can make it all the way to Pomeki, as long as it's a bike lane. That's about it.
Really, on our agenda, it's a members list, is there any update on that, or it is what it is, and don't have any going out.
The members list is continuing to be curated and updated every day. I can say that we are getting some responses via the email, Leilani search with the post sharing email addresses. So I'm happy to say that it's more than I thought would respond. So I think maybe the word is getting out that we want email addresses, and there are some very kind comments. This would be so much better. So we're adding that. We're also creating the format that the site election buddy platform is requesting. And that will be submitted December 24th, aka Christmas Eve. And then we have a few days in the last part of December to work with the family to updates. So part of the challenge that we all have is our community is, I keep running, things fall, things go, things grow, things leave. And so we're trying to be as fair and equitable as possible in a ginormous, over 2,000 owner database whereby some people have multiple evidence, some people sell, some people don't. And we hope that the return rate for mail ballots will be better than the return rate for the bylaws mailing, which was from the original notice in August. So that might be one quality measure that we could compare as well. So that means that if anybody knows anybody that has any updates they want, please let them either email us, be reminder, so we're also welcome to. Also, there's more than 300 now lots in Orange County, which when we started, I think it's 180 or something. And so,
We just saw more this week.
It's a very dynamic thing. So that is to say that I hope that folks feel that there's a risk factor to recognize every owner this year in particular, because we are free from the digitated fees. So everybody that has a room on a lot.
Thank you.
Now, you all of us in the microphone up, like you up, rock stuff.
Take a call on that.
I heard quite right. So 24th is, we're going to give the information to election monies. Okay. Do you have the format do, or do you have an update for people getting dates set? You want to give
Give talk on election. You're next.
Well, I've been putting notices, reminders out on my Facebook page saying it should be there. So,
And it is, I think it's, it feels like it's working.
yeah,
Everybody.
several hundred views on it.
So I don't know, I would be a sandwich workers, but that's
Are they,
behind the screens.
I've been putting out there, put down your lot, you know, how many lots you got, lot numbers, TSAs, full name, that sort of thing. Is the information coming through okay?
50.
So,
Or no investing. And we have a process by which we can validate.
okay, all right, okay.
Election update. Do you have any? I guess Kim and Kim. Yeah, like, there's already dates here.
This is the next meeting. Yeah, the flag. It's right here. No. Right here. Bobby, can you hear me now? Okay. The election committee members, Jim Kennedy and I, created a report for the process by which we collected the nomination forms. And the hopes would be that this document could be improved upon, but would also give you a template recipe for future processes by which nomination forms are handled before they are submitted to the secretary for our finalists. So this will go, I believe, to you and then perhaps on the website so folks can see. So I will read it. And on the report date is yesterday, and the location for this nomination process was the Longhouse, 1334 Main Street. President LCA Board of Directors John Segala, Secretary, and Mary Ann Farrell, Treasurer. President from the LCA Election Committee was Jim Penny and myself, Kimberly Shaw. Step one, unlock box and remove LCA Board of Director nomination forms, and that was done by me. 14 nomination forms removed and date stamped, received November 30th, 2025 by me. Step two, election committee member, write first and last name of each nominated person on a blank piece of paper. Step 2A. Kimberly Shore, election committee wrote a list of 14 nominated persons' first and last names located on the 2026 LCA board nomination form. Upon a blank sheet of paper, Keisha signed her handwritten list of first and last names. Step 2B. James Penny Election Committee then received the 14 nomination forms and wrote a list of the 14 nominated persons' first and last names located on the 2026 nomination form.
We were separated, so I didn't see what she had, she didn't see what.
And Jay Kennedy signed his handwritten list of first and last names. Step 3, John Sagala, or the board secretary, received handwritten list of names from the election committee. J. Sagala confirmed the lists were complete, 14 nominees, accurate, first name, last name, and documented the same 14 names. Step 4, the election committee reviewed each 2026 LCA board nomination form to confirm each nominee's ownership of property in the United States and status as a member in good standing for the LCA bylaw audit exhibit B, Article 2, Section 2. Step 4, sources used to verify TMK lot LCA members list, LCA QuickBooks Desktop, LCA QuickBooks Online, escrow title paperwork in the LCA office, and the County of Hawaii Real Estate Property Tax Office for other documents. Step 4B, we attached the current County of Hawaii Real Estate Property Tax documentation for each member's TMK or Ks, if they were multiple landowners, and confirmed that the County of Hawaii property tax owner is also the LCA Board of Directors nominee's name. Step 5, election committee scanned all documents into the Dropbox in the LCA office. Findings. 3 nominees required further follow-up regarding ownership of property in Leilani Estates per discussion with the Board of Directors. Recommendations from this election committee to the future folks for improving the annual LCA Board of Director nomination process. 1. Completed LCA Board of Director nomination forms are due November 30th at 5 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. It can be placed in the lockbox on the longhouse. Outside the wall of the longhouse can be received via USPS mail in the LCA mailbox or provided during LCA office hours, currently Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. 2. Any official LCA Board of Director nomination form requests, we're going to try to update what these forms look like. The line to print first and last names of the nominator and nominee, signature line for the nominator and signature for the nominee, email address of nominator and nominee, phone numbers of nominator and nominee, and a consent to criminal background checks. 3, if a nominee is a leasee of property in the United States, include with the nomination form the lease agreement for property in the United States with notarized signatures of leasee and leaseor owner of the property, and a copy of the leaseor general excise tax license. 4, candidates' forms will then be following this process on or before December 24th each year on site at the Leilani Estates and available via YouTube. Steps 1 through 3 were recorded by Board of Directors. And the members.
I'd like to apologize for making you do that. That
Thank you,
was all.
Kimberly.
There's no reason anybody's doubting. That's bizarre.
That's, outstanding vision. What, anything on that?
It's great.
Oh, one more thing. So following up with Kimberly, now is the time, I think, to announce the nominees, which Kimberly has gone through and identified every possible way that you could not only check these things, all capable resources that we have. There was circumstances this year that I don't think I've ever seen in the nomination process, and I've asked people who lived here a long time if they've ever seen this. This is the circumstance. So normally, I think it's assumed that people who live in Leilani Estates would be nominated. If you don't own land, most people think, oh, you wouldn't be nominated or you wouldn't be running. This year we had 2 individuals that on inspection of the record, such as Kimberly was indicating, one had not submitted a lease at all, and she was not listed as a property owner whatsoever on any database that we have. So that was one of the situations that we had to really look into, Hawaii County laws, as well as following our bylaws and governing documents to the best of our ability. One nominee chose to withdraw their nomination. And so and then the third nominee who also was listed as a leasee presented incomplete documents that were not consistent with what we needed to see to be qualified. And what ultimately it comes down to is we're at a date of November 30th that all information had to be in that shows that you were a leasee at that time. So by November 30th, you should be able to provide that information. So in looking at all the records, my determination as the secretary is that two of the individuals that have listed themselves as lessees do not qualify. One being the one I mentioned that was never listed, and the one that had complete documents. So the nominees this year for the board would be 11.
Thank you.
So Marion Farrell qualified, Benny qualified, Janice Tucker qualified, Richard Willing qualified, Smiley qualified, I qualified, fellow James Dixon qualified, Rod Kendall qualified, Patty Jones qualified, Mark Hamilton qualified, and Alan Morrow. And so those will be the people that are going forward to the nomination process. They completed the nomination process successfully. They are now candidates for the board of 2026. Okay.
This has a little bit to do with that one on dates, which are quite important. For these candidates, we need bios. It's historically been up to 150 words. We certainly would like a fewer if possible, but up to 150, stating the reason you want to serve and what your background is and experience and what you hope to bring, whatever you want to put into a biographical sketch and a photograph, so that when we send out these ballots, both electronically and on paper, people can see your face and get a little bit of name recognition association. So that we need by next Wednesday. So the candidates need to have their bios.
Like, you?
To Kimberly next Wednesday.
Okay.
That won't be plenty of time.
We're done, and everyone is subject line by for the ballot.
Come on.
Will you be using George Clooney sort of looking at
No, but I'd like to, proxies for the city, we're working on the election package. We had 2 communications today with Election Buddy. They're eager to do it. I said, well, I'll put one together, and the young lady says, good job, I want to do it. So it's kind of an interesting thing that she wants to get on it. But by next week sometime, we will have the ballots and the election package, including, by the way, with the motions that have been submitted previously on there. Of course, at the annual members meeting, new motions can be brought up, but we want to get feedback from 2042 or 42, whatever it is, to have their input, and Election Buddy will compile that and get the statistics. So the week before the election, the annual members meeting, Election Buddy will submit back to, in this case, Kimberly, since I'm a candidate, here's the distribution, here's the top 7 vote getters, and that will be announced at the annual members meeting. So we have a candidates forum coming up on, what, Wednesday, 27th? 27th. Okay, bios by next Wednesday, and we'll coordinate the proxies for the city. And now we just heard it's over 300. So they, in and of itself, historically, for people that don't know, they don't want to participate in any of the political arena. They simply say count us for quorum purposes only. approval, they constitute four, so we'll make sure we get that. Yes, sir.
So I have one for you and one for John. The last meeting we had, you were going to check to see about the proxies for elections. I went ahead and checked on it myself. I emailed the entire board here. And as the amended bylaws in September, section 6 voting, fourth paragraph, proxies for elections are required. You're able to
That's in the whole system. It's just what was on here. This is what-
The issue, I think, and excuse me if I misstate this, but I think Jim Friedman, not speaking for him, but my understanding is, since this is all being done now electronically by a third party, people ought to just be able to vote, either mail it back in or do it electronically. In the past, the way it worked is people fill out a proxy, my next door neighbor, and just assign it to me. And at the annual members meeting, then I was able to vote my votes and his votes with the proxy. Jim wanted to just eliminate the proxy entirely, but I hear what you're saying. Yes, ma'am.
But we discussed earlier that even through election voting, they can say, give my votes to somebody else.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
And they can be signed.
It will be, yes.
Yeah.
And then for John Segal, I'll go look it up again, but I believe our charter, you don't have to live in Hawaii, you can live in Thailand and run for the board and be a nominee.
No, we don't disqualify anybody under those, they be considered you have to be, somehow leasing property.
No, you don't. I'll look it up for now. I'll send something to all the board members.
It says that they can be member of the standing, they can vote, they can have meetings, all it says. That's anyone that be on the board.
How would that make sense for a board member to
It's in the charter, just saying the law is the law. We prefer you want to violate it again, that's okay.
It's not even in the
And I'll explain it to y'all in an email.
not in the chart.
And this will be possibly challengeable to the whole process.
Any important December dates you've already filled that out, the 24th is only one, and the next one came first. Okay, I got it. Board nominee did that, candidates form represented the 27th. So, nothing else, right? Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, there's a status report on the park, so. Right?
Yeah.
The annual meeting is the last Saturday in, according to the new,
January.
in January.
Business by law.
But do you have a committee? I'm sorry, got a status report for the man.
Just as the planning department is trying to cancel the meeting. I don't understand why, so I'll try to get Ashley and see if she can.
You were on Monday.
And I'll have my documentation from you. And
Okay, that's it.
Okay, so, new business. New business,
Been through it all.
wait a minute, oh, yeah. Oh, we didn't discuss the background check thing, though. It's been proposed that going forward that we have a background check on individuals applying for the board, because, put somebody in a seat that, that is in arrears or whatever, some situation that they have a criminal record. That I don't think that's a wise decision, but the members would want, I think it's very inexpensive these days to do a comprehensive background check. And frankly, somebody submitted one to me anonymously about one of the nominees, and it was horrifying. So I think it's a good idea to do that background check. It didn't influence my decision. We're going by the books, but in the future, I think it should be looked at clearly.
There's no reason not to, unless that's just showing hands and doing no good.
I disagree with background check. It's going to be shared with the board members. And of course, when I individual.
How, that used to be, say that again?
you're going to weaponize it against an individual.
Don't decry.
I'm the single point chair, but in order to protect the community from possibly installing somebody who is some sort of, use your imagination, maybe they've embezzled, maybe or something. I think it's well worth the $5 to look into protecting the community. How does that, who?
There's a liability issue here. Yes, I
You can go for any job, for any sort of that. Well, then, if, well, it's just like a motion to go.
What would, how would the information be used, really? Details. Would you just release it, or you
No.
deny that being a violation?
You know, it has to be discussed. It's not a unilateral decision. How I would do it, it's a board decision. It's a board decision that has to be weighed and debated properly. It's not up to the secretary to decide.
Yeah, we could have the information, yeah.
I mean, anybody, if you rent a local, this is my life, you don't have a background check. I mean, listen, if you've got more invested in this than a home. I mean, that was the first thing in my mind. I'm sorry.
So we have somebody that is the most atrocious person in the world, but they were brought to justice and they paid their service or their duties, and fulfill all the requirements of their, it's hard to put them on them, and then you're gonna hold those people.
Then all resign.
But it's not, if you're saying you'd be like, I'm the final arbiter of who's going, on the board. It has to be debated about the severity, and each thing is, I mean, each thing is its own, each person is its own set of circumstances. I frankly think that it's a wise decision, and I encourage everybody to think about this overnight. Do you want to have any kind of control over who's on the board as far as their criminal background? I mean, that's a no-brainer. I'm sorry if I'm missing the point.
You know, it's jobs in 2020.
I'm sure there are other community associations that have had the same thing. There's got to be laws and standards that apply to any type of board who is having an elected board. So I think it would be good to go in and look at it legally in that way.
We'll also ask the election buddy, they've done hundreds of thousands of elections, so they probably dealt with it. We'll report back to
So I would make a motion.
No, I agree, I disagree. I agree with Mr. Penny, we're gonna take.
Let's get it. Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it.
General election.
Would it be to look into HOAs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good idea.
We'll find out.
The county provides us a too, so you can look into that and have some, and have some do that process.
We're gonna get third party that just says yay or nay without giving any details of the report.
Yeah, that's great.
Do we have a moderator? Someone in.
We're looking for it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I would like to make a motion, John, look for a moderator for us. Make that motion. We're talking about the NME.
For the.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just Jim, what's his name? Freeman.
He won't be, he's not gonna
He's not gonna be here.
He's on vacation. That's why we have to find space.
Oh, I thought he'd be here.
Great.
So there's nothing.
I'd like to make a motion that John look for a moderator for our candidates for him. Second.
Sure.
All right, so it's a unanimous?
Yes.
Okay.
Open forum. Your turn. Anything we haven't discussed tonight? 8:30 at night. We all got to keep focused on the dates for the election and knowing that, we can't miss anything to election buddies. We're wiring these guys, we're already paying money to them. Okay, so we got, Jim will make sure we all know what the dates are, what folks have signed up bulletin boards, or put it on the website. Hey, we got to change the dates. Go ahead.
Thank you. I've got a question about the website. What's the cost of the hosting? Does anybody know the amount for the hosting?
It's, I think, a little over $300 a year.
A year?
Yeah.
My question revolves around the fact that we don't have the continuity available because of the old website. That data should be incorporated into the new website. I'm wondering if there were any plans for that, and if not, why not?
If I can say something, I did download all the documents, all financials, and everything else from the old website, and it's been provided to anyone on the board who wants to.
It was public information, was it not? So why is it still not public information? No, why couldn't it be incorporated into the existing website? I just like to know why that wasn't even thought of or done.
Well, when we first got on the board, we wanted to create a website that was not run by, like a director or a president.
Well, that's
It was a message, right? And we were concerned, I say, the people that were looking into putting a new website together. My concern as being part of that group was that we wanted to start fresh with financials that we could verify. And the previous set of financials that were listed on there were questionable at best. And so in order to present the best information we could at the time, if we could start fresh, and that was agreed upon, that would be the way to go. Now, other people said, well, if a liar had pictures from, Halloween of 1995 or whatever, and if you kind of limit it, this is a very busy spot. It's like I probably call 3 or 4 times a week with things to go up on the website. It's a rotating thing. I think it could be kind of cluttered thing after a while, but if there's something specific that you feel you want put up there, I don't think you
I would actually like to see the complete financial from the history we got here. It's not in other people's estimation valid or necessity. I think that a history, a record, a continuity should be kept. The whole story. I like this.
Generally,
I can make an archives link, put everything in there.
It's not deep, it's not a full HTML can add much. Thank you. Very good. Any motion?
That's something you should make a motion to. It's going to be, is it something you want to make a motion on, or if you just agree that it can be done? Yeah.
I thought it's going to happen the same way to our books, the history. To go back as far as we know, it should be that.
So do we make a motion, or is it just understood that it'll be updated?
I think it's all great, but it should be updated.
Sure. I had a question. A couple of years ago, there was debate about the ownership of the roads. And from what I know, the developer had a trust that was laid out through First Hawaiian Bank. And has that ever been followed through to confirm that we, the association, own the roads?
I think a lot of people here that could speak on that, just as well as any board member, based on our recent dealings with a visit from the people representing the thing. So, does anybody want to speak on that?
Is there a process, or is there, where do we stand?
Step up here.
Young man.
So, what was it, 2023, I think, is when I first started talking to the bank about it, because I wanted to put a gate. Now, I wanted to put a gate on Long Street too. So I asked the bank, I said, hey, you guys own this property. Are you aware you own part of Fissure 8? And they said, what are you talking about? So they said they'd get back to me. And they did. And I said, hey, we don't know what's making this. They basically have, they're on the trust, And it's in there, they had no idea that they have 114 acres of roads there. And so they said, well, we don't need it, it's like a hot pump. I said, well, the LCH did. But here's the problem, you got the section 1 folks, they own part of it, that's their easement. So would it be appropriate for the HOA to own their roads? No. Part of that TNK belongs to the county, it was, Hollow Street. In line with the Gardner. Is it appropriate for this HOA to have ownership of that? It was a county road before that, before the eruption. So I went to Al, when Al and Janet were on the board, I said, hey, Al, here's your opportunity. Maybe you can get them to subdivide this up to the appropriate parties. That never happened. I think he was trying to negotiate. They said the same thing. So, hey, it's in limbo. And honestly, it's probably better that it's in limbo right now. It's been like that for what? 60 years, however long, do you guys really want the actual ownership, or do you just want to own the asphalt? If you own the land, you're probably a lot more liable for what happens.
And if I can also add to that, the first phase of grants from the county to restore the Boo Street, it was potentially an issue as you filled out the grant. You had to be really clear about, hey, whose road are you working on? But in the case of this, the county made an exception, knowing that this community has questionable ownership, and they went ahead and allowed these grants and allowed the road work done without the actual ownership.
Just like the intersection when they came in and did that, they did a little bit of work on North Noah Street. They didn't ask permission. So neither did the board. They didn't ask the permits for the asphalt on Bono and Muggery Street. So, while you're here, can you clarify something regarding that? So, at any time, did you have any involvement in having the road open to? I don't know. I called the county to assist. I made this is yeah. You are in charge. Yeah. I told people on me that
So the only element being is there could be at some point a liability. We just don't know.
If you put it in LCA's name,
No,
you gotta subdivide it.
Exactly.
And that's the bottom line. Okay, then you're really stuck with the liability. Is the LCA gonna let people just go up figure 8 all day long? Just as wide open? Now you're on the hook for it. Right now, the bank's on the hook for it, and they know it, and they really like it. So
The bank representative, that came here to check this all out, not that mom.
she took one look at it.
She said their legal, their legal department, doesn't want anything to do with this.
It's a hot potato. They don't want it. They can't just
We want it.
give it to these guys, to the HOA, because you've got other parties involved that have rights to it as well. So it's almost like it was intentionally left in a neutral parties.
And there's nothing within the trust or anything like that.
What's that?
There's nothing in the trust. that is-
The bank doesn't even have that paperwork. It's so long ago. So
My father is actually the signature for First Hawaiian Bank on that one.
sure.
You inherited. And, yeah. Exactly.
So you want also.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
My,
Is there any other questions?
my other thing was, and you're up here too, is we talked about the roads in the lava covered areas. Have we had a committee with landowners that are there that would be,
Part of the lava lot committee, we were trying to identify exactly what is the definition of a lava lot.
Yeah.
Who's included, who's not. The definition was, does it have any lava on the land, on the lot, okay, your lot? Is any portion of the lots behind a barricade? So there's parcels that are completely behind barricades that the owners have no access to. Some of them are getting taxed, but they shouldn't be. If the person bought it, they would basically get it from the tax bill. There's only a few of those like that. But, the other thing was $100 assessments. If they're $100 or under the threshold for a tax bill. There's a lot of stuff that has road frontage that has $100 assessed value. Because it has a lot of in fact. It's part of, I mean, there's so many people that should have been on the list that were not. Like, that was one of them. Okay, your huge crack in your property back there, right? It says $100 value, right? Okay, he should have been on the list, but we had people on the board at the time who like to do little vindictive things, like, I don't like that guy, so he's paying. Okay, and we've had that for 7 years. It changes.
But, I mean,
It doesn't change anymore. Exactly.
my thought is, I have no idea,
But,
you know, that has pavement, what those people and
Right.
landowners.
but your question was, hey, you wanted to know about what they wanted. For
Yeah.
yeah, that was the questionnaire that we wanted to send out. I think he's working on that. Ask those folks what they want. They want roads, but here's the thing. Look at all this yellow. That's all. Okay, is the HOA really gonna get strapped for making roads for a handful of parcels when the majority of the area doesn't have, is it not gonna be developed ever again?
And is Elko gonna bring in power?
There you go. It's gonna be, off grid, which I don't have a problem with off grid, but guess what? It's gonna be noisy. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ian.
Is there any other questions? I want to go back. Carolyn.
Thank you, Chris.
Because of everything that you're creating for process improvement, I wonder if the board has a process for turning over, to the next board, if you have discussed that. There's been some issues in the past, so it'd be lovely if you develop some type of process for that.
I'm gonna do that.
We are doing that, yes.
Well, you do it.
Please. That's for a lot, yes. We're spending 6 months on it.
No, but keep it under 3 hours.
I'm just curious, if anybody looked into the effects of the geothermal effects on our life here. I believe that geothermal is creating a affectation on our livelihood. And I don't know that anybody's ever looked into their noise. I mean, I hear them all night long, every night. They something, a noise is grinding. They give us really cheap power. You know, they don't. But do they, I heard rumors that there's some sort of compensation for the people that they geothermal effects.
But that's,
I've never heard of any, no. Do they compensate Leilani Association for the 2,000 people that they're noise or off their take effects? They're offering us some grant money. They are. I think it's